Napoli fans around the world, welcome to Napoli Talk. Napoli lose 3-2 against Atalanta at home in a match that was crazy. Atalanta scored first. Napoli got 2 goals, one right before the first half, one right after the first half, and then we ran out of steam in the last 20 minutes and Atalanta scored twice and the game finished 3-2. Now, disappointing result, hugely disappointing, but I have to say this team gave us a game that I didn't think was possible today. We were out with we didn't have Anguissa, we didn't have Osimhen, we didn't have Koulibaly, we didn't have Insigne, and we didn't have Fabian. And the guys that were on the bench, we had Politano, Unas, and Demme, who we know are not in form right now. And yet this team was able to give us a game that, to be fair, we could have drawn until the 94th minute. So I just want to start off with that positivity. Other than that, guys, disappointing because we could have won this game. We were winning 2-1, and it's just so disappointing to come short and to not get a third goal in the end. So I'm just going to read some of the comments before I go into the analysis of this game and go into the player ratings. Give me feedback on the webcam, guys, because I bought a new webcam. So give me feedback if you guys like this more, if you want me to go back to the old one. I don't know if it's like lagging for you guys, if it makes the video lag, or if it's clearer, less clear. Let me know in the comments. Anyways, going back to the game, Anthony Navarro comments saying, well, first off, before I go to that one, I pinned AMS's comment saying Petagna has a washing machine attached to his back. Petagna is so out of form. In fact, you know what? Let me go straight into the player ratings for this game. I think we can start the discussion there this time. Dave FC, did you change your haircut? Yes, changed. Well, I got a haircut. It's my usual haircut. Or maybe it's just the webcam. Maybe now you guys can finally see my proper haircut with the webcam that's changing. Let's see. Where do we start with this player ratings? We got to start with Petagna. With a 4. Look, Napoli didn't lose this game because of Petagna. So usually when I give out 4s, it's because we usually lose a game because of that player. We didn't lose because of Petagna, but Petagna is a player who hasn't had an injury recently. We're 3 months into the season now. 4 months into the season. It's December. And he still has to show us... Wait 1 second. Let me turn on the lights here. I don't know why I started this without the lights turned on. There we go. I think this is much better. We started the season 4 months ago. We are now in December. And this guy is still overweight. This guy still doesn't have chemistry with his teammates. This guy still, isn't proving to Napoli that he should stay. He started off super well with that goal, that crazy goal with Genoa. He did okay in the Europa League. But, you kind of expect a guy like Petagna to come onto the field and, prove to Spalletti that he can be counted on over the next 3 or so months with with Osimhen being out. Mertens obviously doesn't have 90 minutes in him. What I saw today on the field was embarrassing. Like, you cannot call Petagna an athlete. He refused to go for a run several times. Just doesn't have the hunger. And then towards the end, he messed up. A shot that I'm not asking him to score, but at least hit the target. You are a number 9. You know, we often blame Zielinski for not hitting the target from close range, but Zielinski isn't a striker. This is Petagna's job. We pay him to hit the target, so it's incredible. Mertens and Malquit 7. You know, you're probably right. That's a bit harsh on me to not give them a 7. I should change that. I actually should change that. You guys are actually right about this. Let me see if I can change that. Let me see if I can change that. There. I'm gonna add a big 7 to Mertens. There we go. I'm gonna add a 7 there, and then I'm gonna copy that over and put it to Malquit, because honestly they deserve it. There. That's, you guys happy with this? I think that's fair. And yeah, smash that like button if you guys like my editing skills, because it's so funny, because I actually tweeted about Malquit having a crazy game. Why I gave Malquit half a point less, because I was debating whether to give him a 7 or not, was because I think that it's partially his fault, the Atalanta goal, the Demiral goal. I think he keeps him onside. But yeah, I mean, no, Lozano 7, I don't think so. I think Lozano was instrumental in today's game, had a really good game, but I don't think it was better than Lobotka's or Mairui, for example. Everyone else had an average game. Average game. But, you know, they had spirit. So a lot of the comments are focusing on Petagna. Maximus Abel saying no more Petagna. Anthony Navarro saying it was only a good performance from the 40th to 60th minute. We were behind all match, I felt. IDB saying, I thought Juan Jesus was great today, not Koulibaly, but defend well, or am I dreaming? I mean, we did concede 3 goals. So normally when you concede 3 goals as a defender, it's very hard to score above a 6. We have to consider that they did let Atalanta through 3 times. Atalanta maybe should have had even more goals in the first half, to be honest. They were a bit wasteful with their counterattacks. I think these are fair player ratings for a team that has lost a game. They're not too harsh. They're not, because 6 is average, and they're not too on the positive side, even though, yeah, Mertens and Malquit, I think, had tremendous games. And I should have put a 7 there. I think, you know, you have to also realize when I do these player ratings, they're right after the game ends, and I think there's a bit of disappointment there, and that's why I had a 6.5 for them. But now that I think of it more, yeah, I mean, they probably do deserve a 7. Let's see some of the more recent comments. Blue Line saying Napoli should make sure to score 3rd goal, because with 2 it seems like it's not enough, and that's true. Spalletti did say, especially now that we've got 5 substitutions since last season, games they become more and more crazy. We're seeing more and more goals because typically teams bring on more midfielders and attackers. It's harder for defenders to defend against 5 fresh attackers or 5 fresh midfielders, or a mix of that, as opposed to before it was only 3. So games do tend to have more goals now, and so we really do need to make sure that we are scoring enough goals to see us through, because it really seems like having 2 goals just doesn't cut it anymore. And we saw that last weekend as well. Midweek against Sassuolo. We saw it against Inter. So we're seeing that quite often. We see it in the Europa League quite a lot. 2 goals is really, really not enough. A good game to Napoli, but all of you had was Ospina. To be fair, 2 mistakes from us led to 2 goals. Also, the ref really made some questionable decisions against Zapata just because he is so strong, says Frederick Camilo. I think he's an Atalanta fan. Look, the ref was neither good nor bad to one team or the other. I thought the ref was just bad in general. I mean, the ref gave a penalty to Atalanta, which VAR had to tell the ref it's not a penalty because it's not a handball. And instead of trusting VAR, he had to go and look himself to make sure that VAR was telling him that it wasn't a handball. I mean, why would you not just trust someone that says, look, it went nowhere near Mairui's hand? I don't understand why the ref had to do that. I think the ref was lenient on some Atalanta players trying to get Lobotka injured. Lobotka did have to come off in the end. I'm not sure whether it was because of one of the knocks that he received. I have no idea. We don't know the extent of Lobotka's injury, and once again, he had a fantastic game. Sufus Kuba saying it hurts so much when you think of how we could have played with all those injured players. Yeah, 100%. I mean, this game, I feel like Napoli is a better team than Atalanta. I think the table shows it, and with the full starting 11, I think we would have dominated Atalanta. But I mean, those are all ifs, buts, maybes, and we can't be certain of that. We can only be certain of what the result actually is today. But as I said, I don't want to be too negative about it, because I think this team actually, on paper, was supposed to perform much worse than what they actually did. I'm surprised of how good of a performance they actually gave, and I think we lost it only when the subs came on, and we have subs which are really not in form, and that's when we lost it. But the starting 11, I think they had enough in there to win, and we were leading at one point. Anthony Giampaolo saying the thing is with the injury bit is true. However, Milan were decimated with injuries at the start of the year, and we're still managing wins, and our bench is much better than theirs too. Look, Milan managed to stay winning, but I mean, you have to understand the context of what happened. Milan got gifted so many games. I mean, I just think of Bologna-Milan, where Bologna ended the game in 9. I think games like these don't happen for Napoli. I think it's actually quite the opposite. I think once we have injuries, it seems like other things just pile on. So Milan were a bit luckier than us, is my feeling. But if you've got another opinion, that's cool too. Adrian Jurasek is saying, can I ask for how long Fabian and Insigne won't be playing? If anyone knows, if I'm not wrong, Koulibaly won't be playing until February. Yeah, Koulibaly is out for 3 to 4 weeks, and then there's the African Cup of Nations, which may or may not happen because of I don't know how bad COVID's going to get in Africa, but if he does go, then he's going to come back in February. Fabian is already starting therapy. Insigne as well. I don't think Fabian's going to play before the Milan game. I think Insigne might be back for the Milan game. So we'll see. I think it's reasonable to expect another 2 weeks from both of them, just to be safe, because the last thing we want is to rush them back from injury. They were already trying to manage these injuries, and we see the consequence of what happens there. Humans are weird saying, if Unas takes Lozano's place, this team has even greater potential. Look, I think Lozano had a good game today, a really good game. And obviously, like when I do the player ratings, I have to consider the context of the game, so the result of the game. So we lost, so obviously I can't give too high ratings. I have to consider, okay, he did some good things, like for example for Napoli's first goal, he was instrumental, but he was also very wasteful in some other situations. And I also have to consider if there were other players better than him today, and I do think that Malcuit and Mertens impressed a little more. They were a little more decisive because of their goal, like for example Mertens' goal, Mertens' assist, Malcuit's assist, and the surprise of Malcuit's performance. And so if now we're giving them a 7, then I think it's fair to give Lozano a 6.5, which is, it's a good, guys, 6.5 is good, is a good rating. It's like you're slightly above your average, which is, because remember 6 is your average. So yeah, I think he was slightly above his average. I think Lozano has the potential to score. I think he has the potential to score even 2 goals a game. And when he starts doing that, then he'll go into that 7.5, 8 category. But I think for now, it's good performances, but it ends there. It's not really, giving us... He's not the one giving us the points at the moment. Is what I think. Anthony Navarro saying, thank you for agreeing, Roberto Luongo. I've never want to see him get another minute again. We need Manolas today, whether any of you like him or not. He and KK can't play together, but he can play with Rahmani. Roberto Luongo saying, Juan Jesus is not an answer to any crisis either. Look, Juan Jesus is not the type of player that I think can play with Rahmani I think Juan Jesus is a very good player when he plays next to Koulibaly. But I think, yeah, we are seeing that even Rahmani isn't as good without Koulibaly. The whole defense isn't as good. We'll see it in the analysis of Atalanta's second goal. That defense was all over the place. And it's not about any one individual player. Like, you guys have to stop thinking that defenders, you don't judge them individually unless it's on a one-to-one, let's say. But most of the time, it's about how you are defensively as a unit, and that's where having a leader like Koulibaly comes in, because he's able to make sure everyone has the right distances between themselves. Everyone has the right sort of, concentration, and they hold the line. But we lack that today. We lack that leadership today. So, it is what it is. With Koulibaly out, we're conceding a lot of goals, and that's a bit of a problem. Tito Leofer saying Di Lorenzo looked like he didn't know how to play as a center back. Yeah, that's not his position. It was really tough for the defenders today. I mean, you have to also consider that they're playing in a new system, 3 at the back, and that's not something that we've done very often. Whenever we have done it, Koulibaly was there in the middle as well. So it's the first time we play this with these 3. You have to understand that you cannot judge these players individually based on that. You have to consider the context around it. Tariq BK saying we need Anguissa. That's so true. And if we play 3-5-2, we don't have a backup to defend. I think the best option, we stick with 4-2-3-1. Yeah, it was brave of Spalletti to do that. I think, if we had an injury in defense, I think Mairo Rui or Malcuit would have had to come back, and then we would have had to put Politano or Unas in their position, or drop Elmas. So there was some things that Spalletti could have done, but I think honestly where the game was lost is when Napoli did their substitutions, and that's why I gave Spalletti a 5.5, because actually we weren't playing too bad. We started off the game well the first 10 minutes. Atalanta then came at us with a goal. We managed to fight back, but Spalletti or his assistant, because Spalletti was not on the bench today, but his assistant made substitutions, I think, a little too early. He took off Lozano and Mertens, which were having a good game. They were stretching out Atalanta. He took them off a bit early when it was around the 65th minute, and we really struggled from that point onwards. Then Lobotka had to come off for injury, and all of a sudden, we had Demme, Petagna, Unas, Politano, all these guys which are not at the top of their game, and we really lost the game at that point. There was a lack of fitness, a lack of intensity, a lack of understanding between the players, because you have to realize we started the game without 5 starters, and then we gradually lost throughout the game the most important players. Lobotka controlling the midfield, Mertens, who was the captain today, Lozano, who was in good form, and it just got progressively harder for Napoli to keep control of the game. Pema Dadgar saying our defense is Koulibaly. Anyone who thinks Rahmani is better than Manolas is smoking something. But with 1 win out of 6 games and even poor performances before injury, Lazio game aside, no Scudetto. So, I mean, Koulibaly is massively important, and you have to understand that that's the case for every team. When Van Dijk got injured last year for Liverpool finished 3rd. The season before, they reached like 100 points. They won the title comfortably. That year after that, Van Dijk got injured. That defense was letting in goals left, right, and center. Van Dijk comes back into the team, and all the defenders look better. All of them. Because especially the defense, it's so important who's playing next to you, and especially when the leader is missing. That whole line just struggles, and that's also. It also is why Juventus have struggled quite a bit over the last few seasons, because Chiellini, has been struggling with injuries, and they've not had that consistency and that leader at the back. They had to play around Chiellini's injuries, and that really hurt them, especially last season. But I mean, we see it with the Italian national team. You know, Bonucci, Chiellini, as a partnership, they play extremely well together. You take Chiellini off, and Bonucci is a very regular player. Very, very average player. You put Chiellini next to him, and Bonucci is also very good. So, you know, that's how it works in defense. So you can't be too hard on these guys. They're missing their leader in there, and it's a team game. And that's why also sometimes these player ratings are a bit like iffy. But, you know, we got to do it. Can we do an analysis soon, says Raptor Will? Yeah, we will do an analysis soon. Let's go to the analysis, which I still have to load into the thing. So let me actually, give me a second to load this. I don't know why my slides didn't appear. Give me 1 second there. Just loading them up. Oh man, was today so disappointed that the things didn't even appear yet. There we go. Let me resize these things. I'm doing a lot of editing today, like last minute editing. I guess it gives you guys a glimpse of how I prepare these things, which is kind of cool maybe. But there we go. All right, so we just start off with Atalanta's goal, right? And it starts off with Zapata making a run down the channel, and you can kind of see how this three-man defense is not ideal. It's really not ideal because there's a huge gap between Rahmani defending Zapata and Juan Jesus. I mean, there is like the whole field in the middle, and you know, it's really dangerous. It allows players like Malinovsky, for example, that could cut right through the middle. Luckily, we've got Lobotka, which is there in support, making sure that Malinovsky is covered. Now, the reason why Juan Jesus and Mario Rui, in this case, I think it is, are so detached from Rahmani is because we've got two Atalanta players over on that side, so they've got to have two Napoli players there as well. But anyways, the Atalanta put the ball over the top. Zapata shrugs off Rahmani. Di Lorenzo tries to come in for support. Juan Jesus is in the right position. He has to be near that penalty spot in case someone makes a run in behind Lobotka, because if Pessina, which is making the run behind Lobotka, if he actually does get in behind, then there would be no one there. So Juan Jesus has to be in that position. But Mario Rui, on the other hand, I think he should have been a lot closer to Malinovsky, and take nothing away from Malinovsky's shot. It was, for those of you that saw it, it was a really good shot, and he's a really good player. He's scored a few of these, and we should have been more prepared for marking him outside the box, just like other teams should mark Fabian Ruiz outside the box. Lawrence Moore saying, "Hey Dom, late to the stream, poor performance today. What have I missed?" You have missed the player ratings so far. Jason Teaser saying, "Anthony Navarro, exactly. Hit the like button. Should be the first thing we all do. Support the channel even in tough times." Yeah, guys, make sure you are smashing that like button. I know you guys are. I mean, only guys that hate Napoli are not smashing that like button, and I'm sure none of you hate Napoli, so I'm sure you all smashed the like button so far. Payman, was that not a handball by Zapata? Yes, there was a handball by Zapata, which was overlooked by the referee. It was overlooked by VAR. I have not yet made up my mind if it was an intentional handball or what the rules around that are, because I have literally no idea how the handball system works anymore. I have zero idea. I'll be completely honest with you. every situation seems like the ref just makes a different decision, regardless of Napoli. I'm not saying it as this is pro or against Napoli. I literally have no idea how handballs work anymore. Every season they change it. Every 3 days there's a similar situation with a different outcome. So I've just stopped caring at this point about handballs, honestly. Unless it's like they're stopping a goal, I honestly have no idea, or they're blatantly obvious. But when it's these like accidental ones, you guys have to help me, because I don't know. I honestly don't know. Adam Miller saying this is the time of the season where some players can step up and get more playing time and make a difference down the stretch. And exactly, Adam, but that's where I get annoyed at players like Petagna. Why they don't step up. Lobotka has stepped up. I don't know why Petagna has not gotten himself fit enough to step up. That handball was called to Lobotka 4 times versus Sassuolo, says Anthony Navarro. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, I actually don't know whether those were the correct calls, or whether they were mistakes, or whether this was a mistake, or whether this was the right call. I have literally no idea what should be a handball anymore. Every time it's different. Every time. And I honestly don't know. If you read the rule books, it literally makes no sense. I've heard, for example, if it's a handball by someone involved in the goal but not the goal scorer, then it's okay. If it's the goal scorer that does the handball, then it gets ruled off. So in this case, you could say that it's according to that interpretation that this is not a handball anymore, because Zapata didn't score. If Zapata had dribbled Rahmani, done the handball, and then scored, maybe it would have been not given. So it's all these complicated things where you have literally no idea how to interpret football anymore. They need to make it black or white, in my opinion. They need to say anytime it touches someone's hand, it's a handball. End of story. It's the only way. Yeah, then this was a situation where Napoli were pretty dangerous, with Lozano making a great run from a Mario Rui cross, and then somehow he's on full stretch, but somehow he doesn't get to the ball. Elmas doesn't get to the ball either. Lozano himself gets in the goal, but not the ball. This was a beautiful ball by Mario Rui. Absolutely beautiful. It's the perfect distance away from the goalkeeper and the defenders. Perfectly timed for Lozano or Elmas. But that's just the luck that we've had recently. Salo Di Brita saying, so you can VAR fouls and build up but not handballs. Why Serie A the way they are? But it's not even Serie A. I think this is the FIFA interpretation of handball. It's like if there's a corner and it hits my hand and then it goes to my teammate and my teammate scores, if my handball is not intentional, then the goal counts. But if instead if it hits my hand and then it bounces down and I kick it in, then it's a handball. Then it doesn't count. I don't know. You tell me, guys. I have no idea why that's the case. But Lorenz Moore saying, well, that's the case, then Zapata could pick it up and throw the ball to Malinowski. Well, no, because then that would be intentional. So it's about these unintentional situations. If it's unintentional and you're not the one scoring, then it's okay. But hey, I don't know. And as I said, guys, Atalanta made it extremely difficult. Lots of fouls on Lobotka. And, he was literally like the only guy there in midfield. Zielinski didn't really support him. And we relied on basically Elmas and Lozano coming in from the wide positions, coming in centrally, and giving Lobotka the 2 options in front of him. So we would have this very long triangle almost, where Lobotka could go left or right to either one of them. And we saw Lozano come in and collect the ball a few times, turn around. We saw the same thing with Elmas. And then we had Malquit and Mario Rui, which stayed as high up and wide as possible to give us that depth. And yeah, so that was sort of how Napoli set up. Get Lozano and Elmas central, far ahead of Lobotka, and then you've got Malcuit and Mario Rui wide, and Zielinski and Mertens in front of these two guys. And it wasn't too bad. It wasn't too bad. We had a few chances, and we did score 2 goals in this way. We did score 2 goals with Malcuit being far wide, and that position that Malcuit was occupying was actually pretty good for Napoli. Raptor Will, thank you so much, man, for your $9.99 donations. Thank you. Sometimes I forget to give a like, but I did now also. Nice, thank you. Don't forget to like. No, but thank you. Also, continue what you're doing. You are doing a great job. No need for a new cam. You're doing very good with or without one. Yeah, but it's nice to increase the equipment that I have. Like getting a mic, getting a cam, getting all this. It's nice. It's nice to do that. And hopefully the quality of the videos keep increasing. So it's just a bit of fun at the end of the day. And I love coming on live and speaking to you guys and hearing your opinions about these Napoli games. And honestly, especially when we lose, it's therapeutic to speak to you guys. So yeah. T Toleofer saying Elmas off the bench. Adrian Jurasek is saying, yeah, but honestly, it seems to me that the quality of the referees in Serie A is just not at its best, not just today. Yeah, I mean, Sassuolo was crazy bad, but this one today was not as bad, but still bad. Bad for both teams, I think. Just especially when I think my next one of the next slides. I mean, we'll talk about the VAR decision. Yeah, Danny Baum is saying the lads gave it everything today. It's just difficult with such a good squad like Atalanta without 5 of your star players. I mean, even without 5 star players, we were winning 2-1. It's only when we took off Lobotka, Mertens, and Lozano that we lost it. And so you could say without 8 players, Paymar Dadgar saying, by the way, wearing same sweater today. Nice. I love the sweater. Honestly, it's so nice, and it's got the little gap there for your thumb in case you're extra cold. It's nice to go in a run with this. And how and where do you donate? So you can donate to charity. There's a link in the description where you can donate to the charity that I try to support. And then if you want to donate to me directly, there's also a link in the description, or you can do it straight from the chat. I don't know how to. I think there's a $sign there, but yeah, I mean, I'd be happy if you donate to charity, man. Yeah. Joe Vita Osas TV saying we missed Osimhen in this match. I think so. I think Osimhen in this match would have been very good for us. I mean, we see it with the Mertens goal, the second Mertens goal, how it was a sort of Osimhen type goal, actually, with him having all the space to run into. Osimhen could have given us that as well, and maybe more times than Mertens. So crazy how Mertens showed that he can score a goal similar to Osimhen as well, even though now he's reaching, his mid-30s. Yeah, but Napoli, so we played well in the first 10 minutes, and then we tried going forward, and we were conceding a lot. The defense was kind of all over the place, which is why, some of you guys will say, oh, the defense, they deserve a higher mark. Honestly, I feel like we were all over the place up until Napoli scored our goal. Zapata and all these guys were just ripping us apart. And yeah, very, very lucky not to concede in these counterattacks. Ospina made some good saves. Obviously, I think he could have done better for some of the goals, but he did have some good saves. And Lobotka had a fantastic performance again with, this was one of the chances that Lozano had, and he picked out such a beautiful pass. perfectly timed. Lozano also perfectly timed his run, but then Lozano was a bit wasteful with his opportunity. I think here Lozano could have done a better job. I think he should have struck that ball a bit cleaner. Maybe, I don't know. I feel like he did the right thing going with his left foot, but I think he closed the angle on himself a little too much. So instead of going straight, he kind of went wide a bit, and then it made it more difficult for himself. I think he had the speed to maybe cross over the defender. I don't know. But anyways, it's a half chance. This one is a half chance. A lot of you guys on Twitter were very mad at Lozano for this missed chance, but I thought this was a half chance at best, to be honest. Paymar Dadgar saying the £4.49 pound donation. Thank you, man, for supporting the channel. Good job, Don. Keep up the good work. With so many players being out for the next few games, do we still believe in the Scudetto? Yes, it's a marathon, not a sprint, guys. We now have Empoli, which I think we should get a result, and then, Milan at home. If we put in another performance like this, maybe we can get a result against Milan. Honestly, I believe that, because we only lost this with the subs, and Milan are not in their best form right now either. So I think we still do have a chance. We definitely still do. As long as here's what I think. As long as we go into the game against Inter on the 16th of February within 4, maximum 5 points of the top, I think we can still say we're in the title race. And then we play Inter, and if we win, great. Then it's just a sprint to the end. And if we lose that game and that distance becomes 7-8 points, then I think we can say, okay, we're done. But, and even if we go 5 points behind, as long as we keep that distance until February, I think we're good. So, yeah, that's my opinion on it, Payman, sorry. And Adam is saying, yeah, we still believe we have a good chance. Do you think De Laurentiis will buy anything in January? I think, well, I don't know, because Osimhen is apparently coming back to training next week. I'm not sure how long it will take him to play again, but I assume that he could play with a mask starting in January, which means, is it really worth buying anyone just for the month that he's out in the African Cup of Nations? I think so. I think Petagna has shown today that he's not it. I think even if Osimhen, yeah, I think Petagna has shown that he's not it. I think Malquit has got himself into consideration for playing a bit more after today's performance. So that's good for him. I think we need to invest in a new center back as well. I think that's only going to happen in the summer, though. I think Napoli is going to go hard on Bremer from Torino, but I don't see him leaving in January. I think a striker is maybe where we need more support, because, man, God forbid Mertens gets injured as well, then we are screwed. Mason Alessandro saying, when Petagna missed that last chance over stretch, he pointed to his chest and he knew that the 10 rating he got last week was a flash in the pan. Oh man, Petagna's miss at the end, unreal. But this is Napoli's goal, with Di Lorenzo giving it long to Lozano, and this is, I mean, take a look at the screenshot. It's 1 against 6 at this point. I mean, not all 6 are next to Lozano, but you see what I mean. He's one guy against 6 Atalanta players coming back. He's facing 2 in this point in time, and he does, his little, like, I'll go this way and then that way and then this way and I'll turn around, and it seems like he's going to lose the ball any minute, because he's not very good at keeping it close to him. He's always, like, stretching his leg and just about knocking it to one side. He's not got that dribble that Elmas has, for example, or Unas, where the ball stays close to him. He's got that he gives it that extra 20 centimeters where the defender thinks they can get it, and then he sort of touches it and puts it the other direction. And he does this for a bit, and he gets to the point where he ran into like 5 Atalanta players and somehow managed to get the ball to Elmas. Elmas protects it pretty well, gives it to Lobotka. Lobotka gives it to Malquit, who dribbles past his player. Malquit with a great performance and crosses it in for Mertens. Mertens lays us off to Zielinski. Zielinski shoots, this time keeps the ball low, but rebounds back to him, and then he scores. So that's how Napoli got the goal. 2 donations at the same time. Wow, thank you guys for being so kind and supportive of the channel. Even though we lost today, it's crazy. Forza Napoli, we are very much in the race. Played our hearts out, and Zielinski is top. And Dom, you think we should stay in Europa League? Asks Football is Life. I think so. Because I think, guys, if we lose at midweek against Leicester, do you guys understand? Can you guys fathom how much pressure this team will be on to win the title? Like, it will be just, everything will just be about the Serie A. And I think, we have to play against Leicester anyways. We're going to spend energy regardless of whether we play 60% or 100%. We might as well put that extra 40% in, get a good result. It's going to lift our spirits. It's going to get us past the group, and we don't have to think about it till February. And it just eases the pressure on us. It lifts our mood. I mean, but if we lose that game, we're still going to put in an effort. We're still, gonna... And if we lose, it's going to be bad for our morale. So I don't really want that to be the case. And, it is still some silverware that we could win, and it could be maybe the only silverware that we win this year. I mean, I wouldn't say it's a failure of a season if we finish 3rd but win the Europa League, as opposed to crashing out now and then potentially still only finishing 3rd, because it's not like it's guaranteed that we win the Scudetto. So yeah, I think a team that has a winning mentality goes for every competition, and winning helps winning was what I think. No team loses a game and thinks this is a good result, this is going to help me win. No, I don't think so. T. Toleofea with the other donation, with the $8.99 New Zealand dollars. Thank you so much, man, for constantly supporting the channel as well. He says, do you think we should give Unas a chance at attacking mid for Zielinski? I feel injury is imminent for him, like Fabian Koulibaly, because of lack of rotation. Knock on wood, but yes, Zielinski has been playing a lot, but at the moment I cannot see this team playing without Zielinski, because he's now got as many goals as Osimhen. He's got 5 goals. He scored so often recently. He scored now. He scored in the previous game. He scored against Salernitana. He scored in the Europa League. He scored against Inter. Over the last, month, he's been maybe our most, not our best player, because he's never been the best on the field, but he's been the most, alongside Mertens, the most influential. So I cannot see this team playing without those 2 guys right now. They're the ones giving us the points, like, for example, Lozano's playing well, but it's Zielinski and Mertens that are giving us the points. So maybe I would say, okay, yes, try Unas, but maybe try him instead of Elmas, or because I think Lozano's playing well as well. So yeah, but I cannot see Zielinski right now being taken away. And I think Unas was having a moment at the start of the season. Then he got injured, had a good game in the Europa League against Legia, I think it was, and then he got injured again. And I think so he just needs to manage that injury a bit more, get back into form, and his time will come. I think if Zielinski ever drops, then put in Unas in that position. Gerald Hualpa saying, yes, I would like Cavani Inter. Dude, Inter has so many strikers. They have Dzeko, they have Correa, they have Lautaro. And, I think a lot of people are underestimating Napoli's injuries, because, and we shouldn't be too upset about these results, guys. Like today, I'm not upset. Obviously, I'm disappointed that we lost, but I'm not upset at the performance. Like, I think the performance was there. If you take away Lautaro, Dzeko, Brozovic, Skriniar, and Çalhanoğlu from Inter, they're 5 best players. I don't think Inter would have had this performance against this Atalanta team. No chance. So, this Napoli team today put in a lot of heart. There's literally like nothing negative to say about it, apart from maybe, hey, maybe we made our substitutions a little too early. But how can I say anything bad against this team? And I think we need to remember that, guys. We need to remember that. Mason Alessandro saying, in all honesty, though, this game showed a lot more positives than negatives. Exactly. We can create and threaten even without our normal creators. Thank you, Mason Alessandro. I 100% agree with that comment. Lawrence Moore saying, every time we take off Mertens, we struggle. That is true, but he also tends to come off at a time when other players come off. He tends to come off when, for example, Fabian got injured, or when Lobotka now got taken off for injury, or when Koulibaly got injured. It always happens to be around that 65th, 70th minute mark, where a lot of the team changes around. So whether it's just Mertens or not, I don't know. But at the same time, you could say actually, when we were playing without Mertens and he came on, the team improved dramatically, like for example against Inter. So you could say that yes, Mertens is a key factor in how Napoli plays, but at the same time, does Mertens have 90 minutes in him? And the answer is maybe yes, once, but then the next game he's going to have to play 60 or else he seriously risks an injury. And if you get Mertens injured, then that's a problem. And as I said, I don't think he can do 2 games playing 90 minutes. So for example, if he had played 90 against Sassuolo, then he wouldn't have been able to play 90 anyways today, and we would have had the same problem today. And maybe today he would have gotten injured if he played 90 against Sassuolo, even if it was just for 60 minutes, maybe he would have gotten injured within 30 or 40, because how it works with physical like with injuries is that it's exponential. Like the likelihood of you getting injured as time goes on, it's not linear. It's not like you have a 90-minute game and let's say between the 70th and 90th minute, it's the same 20 minutes as playing playing 70 to 90 when you've already got 70 in your legs is not the same as playing 70 to 90 as a fresh player. The chances of you getting injured go exponentially up. Like the first 60 minutes, actually, you don't even really feel them. It's the last 30 that it gets really, really tough. And there's a reason why, injuries happen the way they do. So that's why subs always happen around the 60th minute mark, because like the chances of you getting injured from 0 to 60 are like 10%, 60 to 70, it's like 35%, and then 70 to 80, you have like a 60% chance of getting injured, and then 80 to 90, you have like a 90% chance of getting injured if you're like managing an injury or if you're not fit, right? So, that's kind of how it works. So we have to be careful with Mertens because he's physically not at his top, at 34 years old. If we risk him, if we play him after the 60th minute, it's essentially we're saying like we're giving him a 60% chance of getting injured every game, which is bad. Eventually he is going to get injured and be out for a long while. Lawrence Moore 14 continues. He's saying, this is the second match in a row where we go ahead and we try to park the bus and getting a negative result. Is this something to be worried about? It's not like I don't think we intentionally try to park the bus, because that's not Napoli's style, and we know we're not good at that. I think it's just we have to make these subs because, as I said, we are managing injuries, and it goes back to Fabian. Spalletti asked him, Spalletti asked him, "Are you feeling okay?" And he said yes. And then 2 minutes later, Fabian gets injured. And the same thing happened with Koulibaly. He asked Koulibaly, "Are you feeling okay?" Koulibaly says yes. And 2 minutes later, he gets a muscle injury. Because that's how it is. It's just like, it's so exponential. All it takes is you play an extra 2 minutes and your chances of getting injured go up from like 10 to 30%, or 30 to 60. As the game progresses, it's not linear at all. And so we have to make these subs. Like, we literally have to, because God forbid Mertens gets injured and we're out for like a month without Mertens. So we had to take him off. We have to take other players off. We had to take Lobotka off because he was getting injured. And it's natural that the team loses personality. The team loses presence on the field. They don't know how to interpret the moments anymore. They lose players who can like calm the game down. They lose players who are able to like lift the team up and like bring them forward and control the ball and have that personality to do that. When you play with players like Petagna, Demme, Politano, and Unas who are out of form, it's normal to lose the ball a lot, and then it's normal for Atalanta to just squish you into your own half. So I think it's just a natural consequence of these substitutions rather than Napoli saying, all right, now we'll park the bus. I don't think Napoli is the type of team that can afford to say that. I honestly cannot think of that. So let's see some other comments before I move on with the analysis. Koulibaly is a big loss, but additionally, when we got the lead, we don't have the midfield to control the game at the moment due to injuries, says SJ. Exactly. So moving on, this is Napoli's second goal, which was a beauty. So Ospina gives it to Lozano flicks it on to Lobotka, and Lobotka, first time, gives it to Mertens. A beautiful pass. Absolute, like, this is one of the best passes you'll ever see. And Mertens runs around the defender and is through on goal. But this is what Malquit can give to the team. Malquit is the type of player that you don't know what you're going to get from him, right? Like, you really don't know. You could get a really bad performance or you could get a really good one. And that's usually because Malquit is the type of player that likes to try different things, And it's like, sometimes it can go horribly wrong. But other times, he's got that little bit of unpredictability, that little bit of magic, that spark. And if it works out, it works out great. I mean, this has a 50-50 chance of either being a perfect pass to Mertens or he misses the ball entirely and he becomes a meme. Like, that's what it is. But he's the type of player that's willing to take the risk. He's, committed to trying out new things, and I think we needed that today. I think it was good for Malquit to start. I think we needed someone that was going to give us a spark, that was going to give us something unpredictable, because if we had played without him, it would have just been, it would have been the same old Napoli, and I think Atalanta would have been the same old Napoli, but with players that are obviously there because others are injured, and Atalanta would have been able to handle us a lot better. But Malquit gave Atalanta that something that, he gave us that X factor, and he gave Atalanta something to worry about. Like, what is this guy going to do? He's so unpredictable, and, it worked out well for us in the end. T. Toleofer saying, surprised Dom has really good English vocab. From someone whose second language is English, it's impressive. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. I mean, I grew up speaking English at school, so I guess it's all right. Dom, are you feeling Anguissa's absence? Asks Gerald Hualpa. Yeah, I mean, obviously we are. I think, in all honesty, I think Lobotka has stepped up tremendously well. Before it was Fabian and Anguissa in the midfield, and then Lobotka came in. And honestly, Anguissa is a great player, honestly, Lobotka has done more than an exceptional job replacing him. Now it's a bit of a problem because Fabian as well is injured. And the guy who's replacing Fabian is, in this moment in time, we had to drop Zielinski into that position, and we played a 3-4-3, so we had to change the whole formation. And then we had Demme come on a bit, and Demme is not really in form right now. But if Fabian was fit and it was just Anguissa missing, then it would have been Fabian, Lobotka, and that worked out perfectly well. For example, against Lazio, and for the first hour against Sassuolo. It's only when Fabian got injured that this team actually started conceding a lot. So you could say that we're missing Fabian a lot more than Anguissa, actually. SJ is saying, maybe controversial, would love to hear others' opinions, but based on his current performances, if anyone was fit, I'd start Lobotka, Fabian Ruiz in midfield over Anguissa. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those where I feel like I would be happy for either to start. I think both are exceptional players, and I love that Napoli are in this situation where we can have players come in and it's not such a big deal. It's like when I was saying we can start either Politano or Lozano. For me, it's honestly the same thing. Yes, they bring different elements to the game. They're different players, but I think the general outcome remains the same. I think generally speaking, we're probably going to get an assist from them. We're probably, they're both going to contribute the same amount. We're going to play differently, but they've both got a goal in them. They've both got an assist in them. It's the same thing with Anguissa and Lobotka. They're both going to be able to make that midfield work. They're going to do it in different ways, but they're both good ways, I think the issue is more when you've got Fabian missing. I think Fabian's a more unique player to replace. But right now, honestly, there's so many players that are missing. You've got Koulibaly, Fabian, Anguissa, Insigne, Osimhen. It's really tricky, really tricky. Stefano Sergi saying, where is he from? Napoli. Not sure who you're talking about. If you're asking about me, yeah, I'm from Naples. But I live abroad, so that's why I speak English. Tito Toleafoa saying, Anguissa is better personally because he's more physical presence than Lobotka, especially in the air. Plus, he's better at moving the ball forward, whereas Fabian is a regista. Yeah, I mean, different styles also could be used for different teams. There's not necessarily better or worse. There could be some times when you want to have more of geometries, and so maybe like you want to move the ball around different areas of the field. And so for that, I would go with Lobotka. If we're playing a more aggressive midfield, then I would go for Anguissa, who's got more physicality, and maybe he can carry the ball a bit more. But for example, I feel like Lobotka has better vision than Anguissa for passing. So for example, we see this, the pass, where was it? This pass here from Lobotka to Lozano. I feel like that's more of a specialty of Lobotka than Anguissa, for example. So it's it can go both ways. Gerald Hualpa saying, Dom, I heard Napoli will get checked because of the Osimhen transfer. I think that transfer is more Lille getting checked, as you say it, than Napoli. Because Lille said, we want these 4 players from you guys, and this is the price for Osimhen. And as far as I'm concerned, Napoli paid the price. So honestly, I don't see anything wrong with what Napoli did. It's very different from what Juventus did. Juventus was... The problem with Juventus is that they're also quoted on the stock market. So that's a whole different issue, because all of a sudden you have to abide. See, Napoli has to abide by sporting laws. All right? We have a rule of conduct in the Serie A. And it's a football team. And there's FIFA rules and football rules. Juventus are part of a group that is on the stock market. When you're on the stock market, you have a whole other set of rules that you also need to follow. And I'm no expert, but if you are on the stock market and you've got thousands, hundreds of thousands maybe, of people putting their money, risking their money on you, betting their money on you, you've got corporations putting their money in you, and what you are declaring is actually fake, that's a huge problem. That breaks not just sporting codes, if there are any such things, but you are messing with financial laws. You've got stakeholders, you've got shareholders, it's infinitely more complex, and it's a totally different area of jurisdiction. Napoli, if they did anything wrong, it's in no way, shape, or form comparable to the type of sanctions that Juventus might get. In fact, I don't think, sporting-wise, either team will get penalized, in my opinion. Because fundamentally, if I say my player is worth 100 million, but he's a bad player, but there's a club that's willing to pay 100 million, hey, that's not my fault if that idiot wants to pay 100 million. So, if Napoli sold 4 youth players to Lille for 20 million pounds or 20 million euros, or 3 and Carnesi is the third goalkeeper, if there's a club stupid enough to pay that money, not my problem. That is literally simple, whatever, simple economics, simple, I put a price and you paid for it, so that's their value. End of story. How they perform later, that's not on me. You wanted to, it's like saying Lozano, we paid him 40, but he's actually not really worth 40 all the time. It doesn't matter. At the time, you thought he was worth 40. So that's not the issue. The issue is not how much the players were valued. It's what you are declaring in your books. And if you are then traded on the stock market like Juventus is, it's not about the football anymore. It's not about the Serie A. It's not about FIFA. It's not about all that. It's about you are a public company. And you need to have your books in order, and they need to be truth. They need to be, correct. That's a difference between Juventus and all the other clubs that potentially are involved. Because Juventus has different obligations. So, that's what I think about that. I do want to make a video about it. I do want to inform myself a bit more about it. But I don't work in that sector, so I could be wrong. So correct me if anyone does. Oh, Paymar says I work in corporate finance. You said it well. Oh, there we go. Well done. Both need to adhere to UEFA and Serie A accounting rules, but we are a private company. As long as we don't underpay taxes, no problem. But Juve is misleading shareholders. That has major financial sanctions. See, that's my understanding of it as well. So I think Juventus don't risk anything sporting-wise. The whole points deduction, I don't believe in that. What they do risk is a major fine from the corporate finance side of things. I think they're going to get fined. And I think it ends there. I don't think they're going to get any points. Because I don't think saying, hey, my player is worth 80 million and someone pays you that, I don't think that breaks any FIFA laws. You could say Neymar wasn't worth 222 million. How do you set the value of a player? It's impossible. As long as someone's willing to buy it, then fair game. The problem is when you don't declare the right stuff. So yeah. Anyways, let's continue with the football because that's a whole different topic. It's interesting. I love everything around football, but let's save it for a different video. Maximus1318 Abel says, "Does Dom have background music now?" I mean, I do put a bit of background music. I don't know if you guys can hear it. I don't want to make it like too loud that it gets annoying. But I mean, if you guys want me to increase the volume on that, let me know. Or if you want me to take it off, let me know. Yeah, I'd love your comments on like how to make my videos better for these little things. And then yeah, as I said, Mertens had this great pass and he scored this Osimhen type goal, really, where he outran the defender and curled it past the goalkeeper. Osimhen scored a very similar one this season. And Atalanta, to be fair to them, they looked dangerous all game. They hit the post with Zapata. Ospina was pretty lucky that he got a foot to it at the end. Yeah, I mean, we got pretty lucky here, to be honest. And I thought, when this hit the post, I thought maybe Atalanta are not going to score. Maybe this is a sign, but they were dangerous. They were very dangerous. Frederick Camilo Dari said, "Just 7 minutes left for toilet, and now you're talking about stock market. What did I miss?" We were talking about Juventus. This one was a weird situation. The ref gave a penalty to Atalanta, and then VAR told them it's not a penalty because it's not a handball. And the ref went and rewatched it, but it's like VAR told you it didn't hit the hand. Like whether it hit someone's hand or not is like black or white. There's no need to rewatch it. It's different when it's a handball and you need to watch it to make sure to see if it's intentional or not. That is down to a referee's interpretation. Fair enough if you want to watch it because it actually did hit a hand. But if someone tells you it did not hit a hand, why are you going to the monitor and checking? How do you have such little trust on the people in VAR? It's like this guy wanted to prove them wrong or something. Like, I cannot understand the thought process of this man going to check VAR when someone told him it didn't hit the hand. It's backwards to me, completely backwards. Yeah. So this is just another example of how this referee is just really bad. We are Luden says, "Good morning, guys. Forza Napoli sempre." Good morning. Where in the world are you? You must be in Australia or something like that. Kanuhan Flame was saying, oh, I missed the comment. Sorry, man. I missed it. Yeah, I missed it. Sorry. Forza Napoli from Greek PAOK FC fan. PAOK Karas. Wow. From PAOK. Man, I saw PAOK play once. Napoli played PAOK, was it 10 years ago? Something like that? In a friendly. Pre-season friendly, I think. Yeah, I saw you guys play. Like a few years ago now. But yeah, let's go back to today's game. This is the goal that allowed Atalanta to equalize. So you can see Demiral is somehow, for some reason, playing striker at this point. And he's in front of Mayra Rui, I think, slightly. He's in front of Juan Jesus and he's in front of Rahmani. But it's the guys behind him that are keeping him onside. And that's where, for me, Malcuit and Di Lorenzo, I think maybe cost us the game a little bit because, like, for them it's even easier to tell Demiral's position because they can have their eyes on both Demiral and the ball. So they should be actually the ones that are more in tune with Demiral's position and be behind him. And instead, they're the ones that are causing us the problem here. So a lot of people will say, oh, Juan Jesus is in such a bad position. No, he's playing Demiral offside. It's the guys further up the field that should be further back. So So this was a bit of a problem for, this was a bit of a problem where they messed up and Demiral was played in behind. And to be fair, this was a great effort by a center back. Great effort. Atalanta scored some beautiful goals. Beautiful goals. We are Ludin says, I'm in Indonesia. Oh man, shout out to Indonesia. I lived there for 3 years. So yeah, let me know if you're in Jakarta, man. That place was dope. This is Atalanta's third goal. So Zielinski here loses his man. And it's hard to be it's hard to say, he loses his man. I mean, Zielinski's been playing so much recently. This team was just they were out of steam. To be fair, he was probably already too far behind to recover. But in the end of the day, when Ilicic cuts the ball back to the center, then there's two guys that are completely free. I mean, Demme's also... Demme, if you go back, he's in front of his man. He's in front of... is that Pessina? He's in front of Pessina. And then by the end of the sprint, so this is second 49 before... So 2 seconds later, Demme's behind, which shows Demme's lack of fitness, to be honest. But yeah, you've got a situation where the two Atalanta players out-sprint the Napoli players, and they find the back of the net. The ball's pulled back, they shoot from outside the box. We don't get close enough to close the effort. I think Ospina could have done better, but it is what it is. Yanni Laliotis is saying, do you think we're missing Manolas? I think the Manolas that Napoli saw, we are not missing. We are missing the Manolas that we saw at Roma. We are missing the Manolas that we thought we were going to get. I think Manolas, since coming to Napoli, has lost a lot of... I don't know what, but we thought we were getting a much better player than what he showed for Napoli. He showed it maybe in a few games here and there, but not good enough for Napoli. If Manolas can come back to the player that he was at Roma, then he would start for sure. But right now, since coming to Napoli, he's not shown that. And I think he also lost his spot in the Greek national team. I'm not sure about that, but maybe he did. SJ saying, Mairui simply can't defend. All good teams just target his wing. Yeah, he's not the best defender, but I don't think these goals are necessarily Mairui's fault either. I think this goal in particular was just down to lack of fitness from Demme, not closing in, and lack of or too much tiredness from Zielinski not following the run. I don't think the defense could have done anything. The defenders, I think they were positioned fine. Yeah. I heard PSV are in contact with Manolas' agent. No, I think Manolas is going back to Greece. I think he made it very clear that he wants to go back to Greece. Yeah. And then Napoli had this occasion. We always seem to have something in the last minute. Always, whether it's against Inter or now Atalanta. We're a team that doesn't die, which is good. We're a team that he doesn't die. We continue to fight until the last second, and we got this chance. We should have scored. Mairui, I mean, credit to Mairui. He is literally doing the best that he can. He is a left back, trying to hit the ball on the volley with his right foot. He's in the box. Honestly, like, this guy has been trying his hardest this year. I'm not saying he's a great player, but I'm saying he's trying his hardest, and that's all I ask of these players to just try your hardest. And Mairo is doing that. And he hits the player, he hits the ball, and it hits an Atalanta defender. And then the ball goes to Petagna. And this is a player who's not trying his hardest. Because if your name is Petagna, and you are someone who has worn a few times the national shirt, the national team shirt, you are someone who has, 30, 50 goals, something like that in the Serie A, and you earn more than €1 million a year playing football, and your role is a striker, you cannot miss the target from there. You cannot miss the target from there. Like, what are we talking about here, man? This is like a doctor who you go in for like a broken arm and he decides to like cut it off. That's like the same level of mistake. It's like someone who like isn't doing his job properly. And it's crazy. It's crazy. So yeah, I'm so disappointed in Petagna, honestly. This makes me so depressed, this screenshot. But yeah. SJ is saying, I think Manolas has been poor because he simply can't play with Koulibaly. They're both too aggressive. I think he could be decent with Rahmani when Koulibaly can't play. Yes, I did talk about that in my video, for example, with Rabona TV, where I think they're too similar. And Rahmani has given Koulibaly that balance. And so I think that actually Rahmani and Manolas together would be also okay. Because Manolas would take Koulibaly's role in that defense. At the same time, I'm not just talking about his performance. I'm talking about also his fitness, and that's a big factor. Manolas is disappointed not just because of his performance, but also because of his lack of fitness. He's missed now practically all season. I mean, I would just like to see Manolas on the bench, honestly. Like, I cannot remember the last time this man was on the bench. And his injuries are, I don't know if they're excuses or what, but come on. Stomach ache? That's twice now that he's got a stomach ache. He had it against Sassuolo as well. Like, what did this man eat? So, I don't know. I can't justify. Pauk Aras is saying, I don't think Pauk or Ajax can afford Manolas. I think it might be Olympiacos that might get him. And yeah, guys, that's it for the analysis of the game. The next games, we've got Leicester in the Europa League on Thursday. Kind of an early kickoff, but should be okay for me to cover it. I think I should be done with work by the time the game starts. Hopefully, maybe. It depends. If I gotta do something that prevents babies from dying in car crashes, then I gotta focus on that. Otherwise, I'll be I'll be covering the game, but I can't promise that I'll be free by the time the game starts because it's a bit of an early kickoff. Then we've got Empoli on Sunday, which we should be getting 3 points. We need 3 points against it. We absolutely need 3 points against Empoli. And then the big one against Milan on the 19th. And then Spezia for Christmas. And then that's it for the year, essentially. Then we come back in January. So these are Napoli's commitments. And I hope that we can get 9 points in the Serie A. I would be okay with 7. But anything less than 7 would be a little disappointing. Anything less than 6 is a bit of a problem. Like if we get only 4 points or 5 points, that could be a bit of a problem. Football is life with another donate. Is that your second one? Man, thank you so much for this. Thanks, man. If Petagna would have scored that, I would have lost my mind. Forza Napoli, boys. We are going to go the distance. I truly believe. Just a rough period. I love that, man. I love that. And you know what? All teams are going to go through a rough period. Inter might get injuries later down the season. Milan, they could also get injuries, or it doesn't have to be injuries. I wish it doesn't have to be injuries. I don't wish any player to get injured. It could just be a bad run of form. It could happen. It could happen, guys. And it could also happen that Napoli, that's it. Maybe this is the last loss of the season. I don't know. But yeah. Frederick Camilo Dalsing, as a goalkeeper myself, the shots in the far low corner are the hardest unless you are like 2 meters. I may not look that way, but low corner shots are so much harder than top corner shots. For the Ospina one you're talking about, yeah, it's harder to reach the low ones. Yeah, I've heard that too. I don't know. I'm not a goalkeeper, so that's a bit of a dark art for me. What would be the hardest for a goalkeeper? I still think Ospina should have done maybe a bit better just because of the talent that he has. I would have expected him to save that. Victor Sagni saying, I was so frustrated. Malquit wants to cross, Petagna not in the box, coming back to receive the ball when he should be in the box. At least you can't run, be a target man. Yeah, Victor, you're right. Petagna was inexistent today. Inexistent. And there's a reason why in my formation, he got a 4. He was not in the right positions, couldn't control the ball, gave it away, missed a great chance at the end, just did not like Petagna one bit. And these are the stats of the game, with Napoli actually having more possession, more passes, more pass accuracy, similar amount of corners, but at the end, Atalanta had more shots. They had more shots on target, and with almost double the amount of shots on target, it makes sense that they score 3 goals. I mean, it seems like we scored 50% of our shots on target. If you take 50% for Atalanta, that's 3.5, and so it makes sense that they have 3 goals. If we give each other the same weighing on that. So maybe you could say the score reflects what should be the outcome. I'm okay to say that Atalanta maybe deserved to win this game, and I'm not mad at Napoli. I'm not, it's not something I didn't expect. Actually, I'm proud of this team. I'm proud of how they played. I think they put up a great fight considering the starting 11 and bench that we had, and we are still many points away from 5th spot, which is the minimum target. We got to be in the top 4, and we're still only 1 point away from Inter, 2 points away from Milan. We play Milan next, well, not next, after Empoli, but we play Milan soon. We could go back over them. Obviously Inter, they could run away. They've got a set of, I would say, easy games coming up. Cagliari, Salernitana, Torino, I don't think are the hardest teams to play against. I mean, Torino is the hardest one, and they're not unbeatable. But then they've got Cagliari and Salernitana, which are the bottom of the table. I think Inter are going to win their next few matches, which is not ideal. And then they've got Bologna, which is okay. And then they've got 3 really hard ones. They've got Lazio, a Super Cup final, Atalanta, and I think Venezia is a tough game as well, because Venezia are slowly finding their form, and then Milan, Inter. So, you know what? Like, for Inter, from January to February, that's pretty tough for them. And then if we check out Milan, what they've got a tough Champions League game against Liverpool. Udinese, which is not a bad team. We saw what they did with Lazio. Us, Empoli, so that's a very similar schedule to us. We've got Empoli, Milan. They've got Napoli, Empoli, Roma when they come back, which Roma, I'm disappointed that we drew that game. Seeing that Roma lost to Lazio, seeing that they lost to Inter, they lost, I feel like we dropped points against Roma now. And then they've got a tough end of January, start of February as well, because they've got Milan, Juventus, and then Inter Milan. So I think by the time we play Inter on the next match day, on the 14th of February, 16th of February, whatever it is, we will have so many important games in between, which is really going to tell us how that season is going to go. So, yeah, that's going to be an interesting one. It's going to be very, very interesting. Let's see what Spalletti has to say, and then we can close the live, guys, because it is getting a little late. So let's see what Spalletti had to say. Well, he had several interviews. He spoke to Sky, he spoke to DAZN, he spoke in the presser. Mertens spoke as well. Why don't we start with Mertens, actually? Mertens is saying, for me, it's always nice playing here. It's been a difficult year. I saw... and he got asked, do you think Napoli was going to be this positive today? And he said yes, but we don't have to forget that obviously we've got the injuries, but the people that come to replace them are also very good players, so no excuses. And they ask him which Napoli is this most similar to, and he's saying, I don't want to make any comparisons. I think the players that we have now are good players. They can make the difference, and the ones that have been here for a while are always still doing well. Any news on the contract? And he says, I like playing here. Let's hope and see. If we don't do it, then if we don't renew, then I'll shake hands and say thank you and goodbye. And it was an honor for me to be here. One day it will end, but I hope it's as far away as possible. But yeah, one day I will have to leave. Is there an option to extend your contract? They ask, and he says yes, but it's Napoli that has to extend it. But I hope that they do. So Mertens is clearly wanting to renew with Napoli, which I hope he does. And we cannot say the same thing for every player. Cough, cough, Insigne, who is making it very difficult for Napoli to renew his contract. But that's a whole different topic. So, yeah. Nikola Jokic is saying, if Napoli doesn't win, I'd be happy if Atalanta somehow takes Serie A. Oh, man, I hate all the teams. If Napoli doesn't take it, I hope none of them win it. I don't hate the teams. I really couldn't care less which other team won it. And I think it's very clear in my videos that I honestly don't care about other teams. To the point that I never say like, oh, I hate Atalanta. Why did they do this? Why did they do that? Or Juve. I don't have energy to spend on other teams, and it's fundamentally because I don't care about them. In any way, not even in a negative way. Like, I couldn't care less about Juve or Atalanta or Milan or Inter. So if Napoli don't win it, for me it's as if whoever can win it, don't care. They're all bad in my eyes. If there was one team that, if it wasn't Napoli, I would probably say Venezia, because I like their kits. So yeah. So Luciano Spalletti to Sky Sports says Atalanta won a game against a real team. It was a real game against a real team. We played football at a very high level. We put in a squad which was very credible, he says. Credible. Weird choice of word. they did a lot of good things, and then we didn't have luck in some of the key moments of the game. This is a credible team, continues with that word, which will allow us to remain close to the teams at the top until the other ones come back from injury, and then we will have more substitutions and changes that we can make. But with this team, we are still at a very high level. So yeah, he's basically saying, you know, this team is good enough to like not drop off the cliff completely, which means that we do need to win against Empoli. Otherwise, it's a big problem. Then they ask him about Lobotka's injury, and he's saying, yep, we obviously paid the price for his injuries. It was an extra difficulty. Without this one, probably we could have been able to control the game a lot more. Lobotka is very good at controlling the game. He's very good at finding passes in between the spaces, and he's very good at responding to the pressing of the other team, basically like sending them to get hot dogs, essentially. He's got a way of like just turning around and making sure that the pressing that the other team does is ineffective. Antonino Di Peso is in the house. Peccato. Yeah, un vero peccato. But I like the team, how they played today. As Spalletti is saying, it's a good it's a real team. It's a good team, and just unlucky with some of the substitutions that we were forced to make, like Lobotka coming off. Afasulo 9 is saying, who do you think Napoli will be picking up in the transfer window? I would love to see a real striker instead of Petagna, someone like Scamacca, or the one from Serie B, Luca. We will see. But I think Petagna needs to go. He proved today that he was not in good shape, and it's not an excuse anymore in December. So I would get rid of Petagna. Then anyway, so I'm reading Spalletti's press conference, and he says Demme is a player that we trust, is a player that we count on. If he didn't have COVID, he would have probably started from the start a lot more. But players that have COVID, it's always difficult to have them come back into form. The team in Sky asked him also about the standings on the table and how we're not first anymore. And he's saying, look, we don't look at the table before, and we didn't look at and we don't look at the table now. I'm not worried, because when you do this job, you don't just look at the data, but we see the attitude of the team. And today I saw a lot of things that were done correctly. Spalletti continues, and he says, in the last 10 minutes, the team really deserved to have a goal, and it's obvious that we were exposed to a lot of counterattacks because we went all out for that third goal. But we need to see the attitude of this team, and it was good. And so Spalletti is saying, this team is good enough. They play good enough. So yeah. Then he gets asked about how come Mertens, Zielinski, Fabian Ruiz, and Osimhen all have 5 goals, and how it's like very well evenly distributed. And he says, from the 3/4, from in the last third, let's call it like that. In the last third, there's a lot of interchangeability about who gets to the end of the box. And it's a characteristic of many teams that score many goals, that there's a interchangeability about who scores them. We have different players that are doing the right thing, and they'll continue to score many goals for us. We hope to have made the crowd, we hope to have entertained the crowd, because today there were a lot of spectators. And then they ask him about the change in formation. So he did a 3-4-3 today, and he says, look, we never suffered Gasperini's play today. play a very offensive football, and they use their wingers quite a lot. But I think with the 3-4-3, we controlled that. We were in equilibrium. Then they were very good to use their physical strengths over us. They did a lot of fouls in our half, and they didn't allow us to come out of the pressing as cleanly as we would have liked. The referee should have given more yellow cards to the Atalanta players. We need to learn how to do that. That's what Spalletti had to say for Sky. I think what he had to say for DAZN and in the press conference is pretty much the same thing. I think he covered pretty much all the topics. So I think, guys, that we can end the live here. We'll take a few more comments to see what you guys continue to think about this game. Daniel Bone says, "Hey Dom, just getting here. Can you throw up ratings?" Yep, I can do that. I had to correct due to popular demand and my mistake, I had to correct Mertens and Malquit. I'm giving them a 7. Lobotka, Mairui, Lozano had good games, so 6.5. And then everybody else was average. But I think Spalletti or his assistant did the subs a little too early, and it cost us the game. Petagna was horrible today, so bad. And Demme, I think he struggled a lot. You could really tell the difference between Demme and Lobotka. Everyone else, Unas, Politano, didn't do much, but they tried. Politano especially tried a lot. Average game from a lot of players. If you missed the analysis, maybe watching the analysis will help you understand some of the reasonings behind some of those player ratings. Anthony Navarro saying, "I bet Petagna gonna score a game winner before the transfer window opens and we keep him because of it. Don't agree with it, but happened versus Genoa in the summer, at the end of that summer window." Yeah, I mean, to be fair, Petagna has scored some very important goals, and he did have an assist in the previous game. He's not a bad player, but I don't understand his lack of fitness. I really don't understand it. It's embarrassing to call yourself an athlete and you don't run for the ball. So for me, I think we can do better. He's not a bad third choice striker, but considering how often Osimhen gets injured, considering that Mertens, we might not even renew him. He is getting older, so he can't play 90 minutes. I think actually the third choice striker needs to be a higher level than Petagna. So I do think we need someone to the level of Scamacca, to the level of even someone who comes from Serie B, Luca, the guy that plays for Pisa. Because Petagna, just not it. He's not fit. We need someone who's always fit. Because that's the thing about when you're third choice striker. You don't always play, but then when you do, you've got to be fit and in form. So, yep. Daniel is saying they play with heart. Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I said it in the start of the live. I'm not disappointed. I think this team did much better than I expected. Much better. I thought Atalanta was going to do much more damage to us, but actually, until we made the subs, we were winning the game. So, credit to this Napoli team. Yeah, guys, I think that covers pretty much everything. Kanuhan Flame is saying 5.5 for Spalletti. What about the legend Domenichini? Who's a better Napoli manager, Dom or Domenichini? Definitely Domenichini, because he won that one game when Spalletti wasn't there, so he's got one win to his name. I'll have my time. Catch me in 20 years working for Napoli. In 20 years. That's the target. SJ saying, just wanted to say I have thoroughly enjoyed this long stream today. Thanks for providing great Napoli content for a Brit like me. Welcome. I mean, guys, I hope you guys enjoy this. For me, it helps to speak to you guys after we lose a game, for sure. It's much better than, keeping it all to myself. And as Daniel Bowen is saying, Forza Napoli sempre and forever, non mollare. And, I still have un sogno nel cuore, I still think it's a good year for us. So let's keep our heads up. And, Empoli, Leicester, then Empoli, and then we'll see for Milan. We'll see what happens. Maybe Fabian is back. Who knows? Maybe Insigne. So, let's keep our heads up. We're still just 2 points away. The title race is long. It should be fun. And these ups and downs are gonna be fun. And they're gonna be many. And that's the beauty of it. Anyways, I need a drink of water and go to bed. So it was a pleasure, guys. Hope you guys enjoy the live. Hope you guys, can be proud of this team more than upset about the result. For sure, that's how I feel today. More proud than upset, to be honest. And 3 points against Empoli, as Daniel Bowen says. And until then, Forza. We'll have a good weekend. And Forza Napoli sempre.